The A Plus rightly covers a lot of startup issues when it comes to Microsoft Windows. The challenge that we have is that over the course of the many different versions of Windows that we have on the A Plus, advanced startup options have changed dramatically. So in this episode, what I want to talk about is the old school advanced startup options that you would see with Vista and Windows 7. Since I did this so beautifully years ago, I'm just going to go ahead and keep that old video. About 75% of all Windows problems that I run into bring me to the Advanced Startup Options menu. Now, you get to this by pressing F8 during the boot process. You got to be quick about it. So you can't press it too soon while you're still in the post, but you can't press it too late or Windows misses it and you just boot into Windows. So I'm sitting there watching this and I'll just be told, hitting F8, tap, 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 and if you do it right, you should see a screen like the one I have here right in front of me. So this is the Windows Advanced Options menu for Windows XP. Let's do a quick rundown through all the different menu options so I can show you what they do. The first one is Safe Mode. Safe Mode is probably what you're going to use more than anything else in here. When you boot into Safe Mode, you boot Windows in its most basic possible mode. It shuts down almost everything to allow Windows to come up. If you can't get your computer to boot up normally, the first thing you try is pressing F8 and seeing if you can boot into Safe Mode. Booting into Safe Mode may not be pretty, but it'll allow you to do system restores, it'll restore backups. I mean, you can at least get to the tools you need to make the repairs. The next one is Safe Mode with networking. As it implies, Safe Mode normally doesn't even allow networking, but this will at least turn on networking. I tend to do this a lot. For example, if I know I'm probably going to have to download a driver or something, at least I can boot up and I can open a browser, download a driver, or whatever I might need to do. Safe Mode with command prompt is actually kind of silly. It boots Safe Mode, but then it pulls up a command prompt window and then makes the window full screen. I've never really actually had to use that. If I need a command prompt, usually I'll just go into Safe Mode and start up a command prompt like I normally would. Enable boot logging creates a file called bootlog.txt. This file basically keeps track of every piece of Windows as it loads. It's an extremely handy tool because it will say, now starting to load this particular module, and then it says success. Load success, load success. You can actually use that because at some point it'll say load, and there is no success, and it helps you zero in on where the problems are. Enable VGA mode basically says, just boot up, but run in old school VGA mode, 640 by 480 at 16 colors. I go to this option all the time if I'm having trouble with video card drivers. This is a great way to at least get booted up so I can roll back drivers or I can change resolutions, whatever I might have to be doing when I'm dealing with a bad video card. Last known good configuration is kind of interesting. When your computer boots up successfully, it saves a lot of configuration information, and particularly registry settings and things like that. Now, every time you boot up, it saves this copy. So if you boot up and then suddenly you're having a problem, if you press F8, you can go to last known good configuration and you can recover based on that configuration. The downside is a lot of times Windows will boot up and have a problem. It will still save that configuration. So the trick to last known configuration is that you can only use it if you haven't had a successful boot yet. Directory Services Restore Mode is just for Windows domain controllers and is completely outside the scope of A+, and why it's even in here always surprises me. Debugging mode allows you to basically watch everything load within Windows step by step. You can actually watch it on the screen. It's kind of cool. Disable automatic restart on system failure. This is actually kind of handy. One of the problems we run into is if you get like a blue screen of death in particular, what will happen is that if you have automatic restart set, your computer will show the blue screen of death just for a moment and then reset itself. So if you keep resetting time and time and time again, you can't even see the errors. So a lot of times, if I keep rebooting, I'll come in here just to disable the automatic restart, just so I can read a blue screen of death. Next is Start Windows Normally and Reboot, and then there's an OS Choices menu if you have multiple versions of operating systems installed on a single system. You can pick it from there. The advanced options menu that comes with Windows XP is pretty handy, and we turn to it time and time again. Now, with Vista and Windows 7, Microsoft made a couple of updates to the advanced options menu. Let's take a look again, this time with Windows 7. All right, so here we are in Windows 7. Now keep in mind that the Vista boot options are identical. So here we go. First of all, we have a repair your computer. This is the startup repair option, part of the Windows RE repair environment, and it's an amazing, quick and dirty place to just press a button and see if Windows can fix it. We have safe mode, which are identical to Windows XP, boot logging, enable low resolution video, last known good configuration, again identical to XP, directory services restore mode, again identical to XP, debug mode identical to XP, disable automatic restart on system failure, which is identical to XP, and here's a new one, disable driver signature enforcement. On Windows systems, you can force all device drivers to absolutely have to be signed, and if you want to disable that at your own risk, you can disable that here. And last is to start Windows normally. Any good tech knows that pressing F8 when Windows boots is a great place to go to get a lot of fixes. In particular, being able to boot into VGA mode or low resolution mode, or to boot into safe mode are two tools you're going to turn to time and time again.